Letting go, the Stoic truth about healing. Remember this important truth. Healing cannot occur in the same place that caused your wounds. Take a moment to let that idea settle. The pain might cut through all the noise and distractions around you. Often, the greatest danger isn't found on the battlefield of life. It's in the comfort of the bed where you keep going back. Perhaps it's in the arms that once felt like your safe haven but now seem more like a trap. Or it might be in the face you keep waiting to see change, hoping it will finally recognize you, choose you, or that things will somehow finally shift in your favor. But let's be honest with ourselves. Continuing to tend to a dead plant, pretending it's growing, is pointless. Similarly, trying to patch up a sinking ship and insisting it can still sail is futile. Giving your heart to someone who doesn't even grasp how to hold it properly isn't genuine love. It's risky emotional gambling. And in that game, the house always wins. There's an uncomfortable truth that many prefer to avoid saying aloud. Some people enter our lives solely to teach us pain. They aren't meant to stay forever. They are lessons, not blessings. I understand how hard it can be to accept this. Maybe you've told yourself they'll change, that the person you fell in love with at the beginning will come back. You cling to the hope, the memories, the potential you saw, and the endless what-ifs that keep your heart anchored to something that might never be. Let's shatter a common myth today. It's not about loving someone harder to change them. The truth is, people only change when they're ready to make that transformation themselves. If you're the only one putting in the effort, it's not a relationship. It's a one-sided rescue mission. And you're not a hero. You're a human being who deserves to be loved and respected in return. Imagine being on a sinking boat, desperately trying to bail out the water with a bucket while the other person relaxes, enjoying the scenery. That's what it feels like to carry the weight of a broken connection. You're not saving the relationship. You're slowly drowning while they're on a joyride. Deep down, you know this isn't right. You feel it when the conversations become shorter, the silences grow louder, and your smiles start to feel forced. That's your inner voice, your soul, begging you to let go. As the Stoics wisely said, it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. How many of us are merely existing, but not truly living? It's time to break free from the illusion that we can change someone else and focus on living our own authentic lives. How many of us are stuck in emotional limbo, holding on to someone we hope will become what we need while ignoring the fact they never were? That's not living, my friend. That's surviving in slow motion. And let me add this, because sometimes we gotta laugh through the tears. Some of you are so loyal you'd stay in a group chat where no one talks just because you don't want to be rude. That's how loyal you are in relationships, too. You keep showing up for someone who stopped showing up for you a long time ago. That's not loyalty. That's self-abandonment with a smile. But guess what? You don't owe your future to your past. You don't owe forever to someone who gave you half effort. You are allowed to walk away from what's breaking you, even if it once made you feel whole. This is not about blame. It's about truth. And the truth is, if you want peace, you have to stop begging chaos to love you right. So say it with me right now in the comments. I choose peace. Let the world hear you. Let yourself hear you. If what I'm saying resonates with you, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and stick around because we're just beginning this journey together. Repeat after me, I choose peace, for that is your strength. This is your pivotal moment, your new beginning. First and foremost, consider this. You may be uplifting others, yet they are depleting your energy. If you find yourself continuously giving to someone who leaves you feeling drained, it's important to recognize that this isn't love. It's a harmful cycle of self-neglect. Take a moment to reflect on that, my friends. This is a crucial point where many individuals find themselves trapped, not because they are unaware of the reality, but because they are reluctant to accept it. You have invested your heart, your time, and your energy into someone else. You supported them during their struggles, believing in their potential even when they couldn't see it themselves. And now, look at the toll it has taken on you. You feel exhausted, filled with self-doubt, and running on empty, while they seem to thrive as if they are the center of attention. Let me illustrate this with a metaphor. Picture yourself holding a cup that has a crack in it. You keep pouring water into it repeatedly, even though it leaks out every single time. This is the essence of what you are experiencing. You have taken on the roles of builder, healer, motivator, and the entire support system for someone who lacks the courage to grow independently. At first, it felt like a noble feeling, almost like a deep sense of purpose. It was intoxicating, yet now it feels exhausting, like a relentless tide that never recedes. Beneath the surface, you know something is off. This isn't supposed to be how love works. Here's the painful truth. The reason you stayed wasn't because you were blind. It was because you were hopeful. You saw what they could become, imagining, if I just love them right, if I just stay patient, they'll evolve. They'll rise. But here's the hard lesson. You can't teach someone to swim by drowning yourself. You can't save someone who's already struggling to stay afloat. Love that only goes one way? That's not love. It's emotional labor disguised as loyalty. Now, you're sitting there wondering, was I stupid? Was I naive? No, you were just kind. But there's a fine line between being kind and being used. You gave them the blueprint to become better, and they built themselves up with your energy while you fell apart in the process. You've dedicated yourself to helping others chase their dreams, all while quietly setting your own aspirations aside. You created opportunities for their personal growth, yet they never seem to consider your journey or make space for your ambitions. And now, let's talk about the story you keep repeating to yourself, or at least I helped them become better. That line is the one that really sticks with people, because it implies that your satisfaction should come from seeing someone else thrive, even if it's not with you. But let's pause and think for a moment. What about you? Where do your desires, your growth, and your sense of fulfillment fit into this picture? Did they invest in your well-being, challenge you to evolve, or inspire you to become your best self? Or were they simply present, eagerly absorbing the energy, support, and encouragement you poured in, while leaving you to handle everything on your own? That isn't a balanced relationship. That's not what genuine partnership should look like. Instead, you found yourself acting as their therapist, mentor, parent, and romantic partner all at once, while they have mostly learned how to receive and rarely how to give back. When you eventually ask for something in return, a bit of support, genuine attention, or effort, they make it seem like you're overstepping or asking for too much. So let's be honest, if you are constantly giving and rarely receiving, can that really be called love? That's not a true relationship. It's more like a transaction, where you pay with your patience, your time, and sometimes your happiness, while they benefit at your expense. The Stoic philosophers emphasized that real connection is about mutual growth, both people rising together, supporting each other equally on their journeys. Aristotle once remarked that a person who claims to be a friend to everyone is, in fact, a friend to no one. This sentiment was also reflected by Marcus Aurelius in his writings. If an individual is not contributing to your journey towards becoming a better person, more virtuous, more centered, and more liberated, then they are not truly a companion on your path. Rather, they are merely a source of distraction. Stoicism teaches us the importance of not becoming overly attached to people or situations that we cannot control. Let's face it, you may have attempted to influence their personal growth, their life choices, and their mindset. However, personal growth is not something that can be forced upon someone. It is a choice that each individual must make for themselves. Yet, you might find yourself hesitating, pondering the question, What if they finally change after I decide to leave? This is the crux of your fear, isn't it? The concern that they might evolve into the person you always hoped they could be, but only after you are no longer in their life. However, consider this. If you find yourself having to compromise your own well-being in order to support their development, then perhaps they were never the right fit for you in the first place. It is not your responsibility to fix anyone. Your primary duty is to focus on your own growth and to love deeply. Yes, love is important, but so is safeguarding your own energy and essence. Sometimes, choosing to walk away from a relationship is not an act of defeat. Rather, it is a powerful act of reclaiming your own life. You are not surrendering, you are taking a stand for yourself. You are rediscovering your own strength, stepping into a renewed sense of your capabilities. For too long, you've been bearing the responsibilities that were meant for two, shouldering double the emotional weight alone. As time passes, the load only feels heavier, not because the situations themselves have changed, but because your energy and inner joy have gradually diminished. You're beginning to see that holding everything up on your own is draining your reserves. Here's a crucial insight. Those you've helped may never truly acknowledge your efforts. It's possible they'll never thank you or even admit that it was your support that pulled them through difficult times. But know this, your peace and self-worth don't depend on their recognition. Clarity, not closure, is what matters most. Clarity arises the moment you stop questioning your value and start honoring it. So, take a deep breath, my friend. Reflect on how much you've done and how hard you've tried. You've persevered, perhaps stayed in situations longer than you should have, and now it's time to reclaim your sense of self. It's time to come home to who you truly are, your calm, your purpose, and a life where you receive care and support, too. Join me in affirming this. I release what drains my energy. Write it down. Let it sink in. You deserve a life where you're nurtured as well as nurturing. Take a deep breath and declare it aloud. Your life's pivotal moment has arrived. Remember, your purpose is not to silently bear the weight of someone else's emotions. Instead, you're here to thrive, to ascend, and to grow in harmony with others, not in spite of them. If this resonates profoundly within you, then you're in the right place. The next step in this journey will illuminate the true meaning of respect and why releasing what's holding you back isn't a loss, but a liberation. Show your support by liking and subscribing, and most importantly, continue walking this path with me. My mantra is simple yet powerful. I release what depletes my energy. This is your empowerment too. Moving forward, let's address a crucial point. Disrespect often masquerades in subtlety, not just in loud outbursts. The small, consistent oversights you tolerate today can cumulatively shatter your resolve tomorrow. Pause for a moment to let this sink in, friends. The erosion of disrespect is frequently a slow, insidious process, a gentle drip, a quiet, incremental chipping away at your boundaries, one tiny, almost imperceptible cut at a time. Many of us mistakenly believe that disrespect only rears its head in dramatic, attention-grabbing ways, such as yelling matches, infidelity, or explosive arguments. However, the most pernicious damage, the kind that stealthily undermines your self-worth, often sneaks in unnoticed. It disguises itself in humor that cuts a bit too close to the bone, in prolonged silences that speak volumes, and in the casual dismissal of your feelings with a nonchalant shrug and sigh, leaving you feeling like you're just too much to handle. You never wake up and say, I'm going to let someone walk all over me today. It starts small. A sarcastic comment dismissed as humor. A promise broken and forgiven too quickly. A night forgotten to call, and you let it slide again and again. Before you know it, your standards have been lowered so slowly you didn't even realize you're living in a version of yourself you no longer recognize. That's what consistent disrespect does. It doesn't hit like a slap. It seeps in like poison. Let me give you a metaphor. Imagine living in a house that never gets cleaned. No big messes, just dust, tiny crumbs, one dirty dish left out. You tell yourself you'll handle it tomorrow. It's not that bad. But day after day, it piles up. The air gets heavier. The mess becomes normal. And eventually, it's no longer a home. It's a burden. That's what chronic disrespect does to your heart. Resentment quietly fills the corners of your soul, until one day you reach a breaking point or, even worse, become numb. Many people don't want to acknowledge this truth. Some have convinced themselves that the situation isn't so terrible, repeating it like a comforting mantra. They make excuses, finding justifications more quickly than the other person offers apologies. However, it's essential to face the Stoic reality. It's not the events themselves that disturb us, but rather our judgment of them. This insight from Epictetus reminds us that if your peace has been disrupted, the severity of the offense doesn't matter. You felt it, noticed it, and you're allowed to trust that feeling. You might be thinking, but I've been disrespectful too. That's a fair point. Relationships are complex, and everyone makes mistakes. Nonetheless, there's a clear distinction between an occasional slip-up and establishing a consistent pattern. There's also a difference between two individuals working through pain together, and one person constantly hurting while the other perpetually forgives. If you find yourself in a situation where disrespect flows both ways and is driven by unresolved pain from the past, it's possible that what you're labeling as love is actually just two hurt individuals clinging to one another. But let's be clear, this dynamic isn't healing. Instead, it's trauma perpetuating itself in a cycle. Now, take a moment to reflect on this question. When was the last time you genuinely felt secure around them? I mean truly safe. Safe enough to express your thoughts without hesitation. Safe enough to cry without embarrassment. Safe enough to simply be yourself without fear of mockery, dismissal, or neglect. If you constantly feel like you're walking on eggshells, if the thought of sharing how you feel fills you with dread because you know they'll misinterpret it, react explosively, or completely shut down, then what you're experiencing isn't love. It's fear disguised as something else entirely. And here's the tricky part. Sometimes, the disrespect isn't deliberate. In fact, they might not even realize they're behaving this way. But whether it's intentional or not doesn't change its impact. It still hurts, and that doesn't make it acceptable. Just because someone doesn't mean to disrespect you doesn't mean you should repeatedly endure it. You shouldn't have to keep explaining why you deserve respect, nor should you have to plead for someone to acknowledge your value. The Roman philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who caused the injury." What he meant was this: you don't need to lower yourself to their level. There's no requirement to respond with anger, harsh words, or retaliation. Instead, all you really need to do is rise above the situation. Remove yourself from whatever continues to harm you, not out of spite or resentment, but out of a deep sense of clarity and self-respect. Hey there, let's tackle that sneaky myth that tells you you're just overreacting. And while we're at it, let's put to rest the tired justification that everyone has flaws. Sure, nobody's perfect. Flaws are part of being human. But here's the thing, not everyone's flaws leave you feeling diminished. Not everyone's imperfections sap your happiness or make you second-guess your value every time you open your mouth. True love might push you to grow, and yes, it can be challenging, but it never crosses the line into disrespect. So, let's say this together. Drop it in the comments if you're with me. I refuse to put up with disrespect, especially the quiet kind that hides in the shadows. No more. Not under the guise of love, not for the sake of loyalty, and definitely not because of some vague potential that never seems to materialize. If this resonates with you, hit that like button. It's a small way to affirm that you're done settling. And don't forget to subscribe, because in the next section, we're diving into another powerful truth. What happens when your future and theirs are heading in completely different directions? Stick with me here, because this is important. I refuse to tolerate silent disrespect. Say it out loud, embrace it, and live it. When you stop accepting less than you deserve, the world around you starts to shift in incredible ways. Now, let's talk about the third point, being tied to a future that doesn't fit you. Imagine this, you're on a train, and the ride is scenic, breathtaking even. The views are stunning, the company is charming, but here's the catch, you're on the wrong train. No matter how beautiful the journey feels, if it's not taking you to your true destination, you're not going to end up where you're meant to be. Pause and let that sink in, friends. This isn't just about love, it's about life. For example, think of someone who stays in a job they hate because the paycheck is good, even though their real passion lies elsewhere. Their journey might feel secure, but it's not their path. In relationships, it's the same. It doesn't matter how much love is there if the direction is wrong. Recognizing this can be tough, but it's the first step to getting on the right track. Sometimes, it's not about the intensity of your emotions or the depth of your connection. You can have a passionate, all-consuming relationship, but if you're headed in different directions, you're bound to drift apart. Imagine standing at a crossroads, with two paths stretching out before you. You and your partner are standing on opposite sides, each with your own vision for the future. You may share a deep emotional bond, but your goals and aspirations are mismatched. It's like being on two different trains, hurtling towards distinct destinations. You can try to keep up the illusion that you're on the same track, but eventually, you'll have to confront the reality of your diverging paths. Do you continue to chase after each other, or do you take a step back and acknowledge that your journeys are no longer aligned? This isn't about one person being right and the other wrong, it's simply a matter of incompatible visions. Perhaps you crave stability and commitment, while your partner values freedom and spontaneity. Maybe you dream of building a family, while they're focused on building a business empire. Or maybe you yearn for quiet, introspective moments, while they thrive on excitement and adventure. The disconnect doesn't make either of you flawed, it just means you're not on the same wavelength. The danger lies in ignoring this fundamental mismatch, hoping that love will somehow bridge the gap. But the truth is, love can only take you so far. At some point, you'll need to decide whether to pursue your own path or continue down a road that's not leading you where you want to go. When it comes to matters of the heart, we often overlook the warning signs that are right in front of us. We tend to believe that we can alter the fundamental aspects of a person or a situation. We hold on to the hope that, in time, they might come around to share our desires and aspirations. As a result, we choose to remain in the relationship, postponing decisions, and nurturing our hopes. Yet, beneath the surface, there is a persistent feeling, a subtle discomfort that nudges us, reminding us that we are not aligned in our goals and values. This inner voice quietly suggests, you and your partner are not on the same wavelength. Stoicism, with its emphasis on clarity and groundedness, teaches us that if something does not contribute positively to our character or inner peace, it is essential to let it go. It's important to clarify that relationships do require a degree of compromise. It is unrealistic to expect that two individuals will always be perfectly in sync. However, there is a significant distinction between making minor adjustments for the sake of harmony and sacrificing your own future just to prevent someone from leaving. If you find that you are gradually dimming your own light, scaling back your ambitions, or silencing your voice merely to keep your partner at ease, it's crucial to recognize that you are not truly in a healthy relationship. Instead, you may be engaged in an internal struggle. You might convince yourself with thoughts like, they treat me kindly, or they are fundamentally a good person. While these statements may indeed hold some truth, it's vital to understand that being good does not necessarily equate to being right for you. This realization can be one of the most challenging truths to accept. It's important to recognize that even those who care for you deeply may not be the right fit for your life. Similarly, someone who desires your presence might inadvertently hinder your true purpose. This is a type of heartbreak that often goes unspoken. It's much simpler to walk away from someone who is toxic, as the pain is evident and clear. However, the challenge arises when you find yourself needing to distance from a genuinely kind person who simply doesn't resonate with your path. This can feel like a hidden form of grief. You might find yourself clinging to this relationship because it feels familiar and comfortable, and the thought of letting go can seem like an act of defeat. But let me emphasize this clearly. Choosing to prioritize your future is not an act of betrayal, it is an act of courage. It's all too easy to lose your sense of self while navigating someone else's journey, especially when that journey appears safe and secure. Yet, remember that safety without a sense of purpose can become a trap. A journey that lacks alignment with your true self is merely a diversion from your intended path. The philosopher Seneca once remarked, "And no wind is favorable to the sailor who doesn't know where he's going." If you find yourself on a vessel with someone who does not share your vision for the future, no amount of favorable conditions will guide you to where your spirit truly belongs. Therefore, it's time to stop trying to navigate a ship that isn't designed to fulfill your dreams. You deserve a partner whose goals and aspirations align with your own, someone who not only walks alongside you but does so with intention and purpose. I understand that the prospect of starting anew, letting go, and confronting the uncertainties of life can be daunting. However, take a moment to reflect. Would you prefer to remain trapped in a life that only nearly fits you, or would you be willing to take a leap of faith for the life that is truly meant for you? Let's affirm this together in the comments. I choose to pursue love that is truly aligned because, without that alignment, love can easily become a source of heartbreak, and peace without a clear purpose can just lead to quiet feelings of regret. If this message resonates with you or stirs something inside, please press that like button. Make sure to subscribe because next, we're going to go even deeper into this topic. You'll discover why seeing yourself merely as someone's option instead of their main priority can be a subtle trap disguised in sweet words. So stick with me and repeat after me. I choose aligned love. That's the kind of relationship worth waiting for and the journey truly worth embarking on. Now, let's talk about a common and frustrating pattern, being considered an option rather than a top priority. Don't waste your energy chasing after people who only come around when it's convenient for them, like when it's raining, so to speak. Genuine, caring individuals will remember you and value you even when the sunshine is shining, and things are good. That's an important point to consider, my friends. Many of you might find yourselves in one of the most confusing places a heart can be, where you are present, available, and loyal, yet somehow you still feel invisible or unrecognized. That's the trap, isn't it? Sometimes, you might think that because they occasionally call or eventually respond to your messages, or give you just enough attention to keep you hanging on, it means you matter to them. But here's the hard truth. If you only appear in their life when it's convenient for them, then you're not truly a priority. You're merely a pit stop along the way. I know, admitting this isn't easy. We all want to feel like we truly matter to someone, like we're important in their life. But recognizing the truth can be a crucial step toward finding genuine, aligned love. That is, love that respects, values, and prioritizes you. And remember, you deserve that kind of love. It's important to recognize when your dedication, energy, and loyalty are being acknowledged. However, if you're constantly the one making the first move, rearranging your schedule, and waiting for someone else to find the time, it's crucial to pause and reflect. What am I actually doing here? Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're standing outside in a storm, holding an umbrella. Someone comes rushing to you, grateful and smiling, holding your hand as the rain pours down. But as soon as the sun appears, they walk away without a word of thanks or even a backward glance, heading off to wherever the sunshine takes them. And there you are, still standing, drenched and waiting for the next storm to feel needed again. Let's be honest here. That's not love, That's convenience. And the hardest part is that you noticed it. You felt it. But you made excuses for it. They're just busy. They have a lot on their plate. This is just who they are. But let's be real. This is how people treat you when they know they don't need to put in any effort. Stoicism does not indulge in such illusions. The Stoics held a profound belief in the concept of honor, particularly in the context of genuine mutual respect. They did not seek validation or respect from others, nor did they accept being treated as an afterthought. Marcus Aurelius articulated this sentiment quite clearly. If someone looks down on me, that is their issue, not mine. My primary focus should be on ensuring that I do not engage in any despicable behavior myself. So, what does this philosophy imply in the realm of love? It suggests that you should cease the effort to prove your worth to someone who has never recognized it in the first place. You do not need to earn a place of importance in someone's life. Rather, you should seek a partner who inherently acknowledges your value. Now, let's consider this from a different perspective. Picture someone you hold dear. If they were in need, if they reached out to you, or if they were experiencing pain, you would undoubtedly be there for them, wouldn't you? Not because it's the simplest option, but because it truly matters. This is the essence of a genuine connection. Such individuals prioritize you because you are significant to them, not merely because your needs align conveniently with their schedule. You deserve a partner who stands by you during both challenging times and moments of ease. Someone who doesn't just reach out when they feel bored, lonely, or require assistance, but rather someone who calls simply to hear your voice. A person who thinks of you when life is going well, not just when everything seems to be falling apart. I completely understand why it's so difficult to let go of people who treat you as if you're not a priority. These individuals often master the art of keeping you hopeful, never cutting you off entirely but instead offering just enough attention to keep you wanting more. Think of it like receiving scattered crumbs, enough to make you feel like there's potential, but never enough to truly satisfy you. You find yourself convincing yourself, maybe if I just stick it out a bit longer, things will change. But here's the truth. You don't have to wait for someone else to decide you're worth it. You choose your own value, again and again. There comes a moment when you wake up and realize you're done being someone's second thought. That shift in mindset is powerful. Suddenly, you stop waiting for validation, stop chasing approval, and begin drawing in the love and respect you've always deserved. Speak it aloud in the comments. I am not a backup plan. Say it with conviction, not just for yourself, but for the version of you who stayed too long, gave more than they should have, and clung to hope when it wasn't deserved. This declaration isn't just for now, it's for the next chapter of your life, which needs space to thrive. And that space can't be filled by people who only offer half-hearted commitment. If this message resonates with you, go ahead and give that like button a click. If you're ready to shift your focus from being an option to making yourself a priority, consider subscribing. And please, stick around because what I'm about to share next is crucial. It revolves around that deep, inner voice you may have been neglecting, the one that already understands that you deserve better. Repeat this affirmation before you leave. I am not a backup plan. Let those words resonate within you and shatter any invisible chains you may not have realized you were still carrying. Now, let's delve into the fifth point. Your inner voice is already aware of the truth. Many individuals remain in situations not because they are oblivious, but rather because they fear confronting the reality they instinctively sense. Friends, this insight is going to strike a chord because it originates from within, not from external sources. We're no longer discussing red flags or analyzing what was said or left unsaid, nor are we focused on actions taken or omitted. This conversation is about you. It's about that soft, persistent whisper inside you that has been revealing the truth all along. Even when you've attempted to silence it, your intuition, your inner voice, acts as a guiding compass within your soul that doesn't rely on logic. it simply knows what's right. Isn't it interesting how most individuals find themselves feeling stuck not because they are truly lost, but rather because they choose to overlook the internal guidance that they already possess? Many of us have experienced this sensation at some point in our lives. Think about those moments of silence that follow a heated argument, the awkward pause that lingers after a message you were eagerly waiting for fails to arrive, or the sinking feeling in your chest when someone dismisses your pain or belittles something that holds significant value to you. You have felt these emotions. The challenge often lies in acknowledging them. Because once you do, what comes next? You might have to release your grip on the situation, step away, and face the daunting realization that perhaps this relationship isn't living up to your expectations. That realization can feel incredibly burdensome and heart-wrenching. It's this very struggle that keeps many people tethered to relationships that have long since lost their emotional connection. Even if they remain physically together, the bond may have faded. To illustrate this, consider your intuition as a compass you hold in your hand. It doesn't shout out directions, nor does it provide a detailed explanation or a step-by-step guide. Instead, it simply points you in the right direction, quietly and consistently. However, the more time you spend ignoring your true feelings, the more disoriented you become. Eventually, you might find yourself in a situation that feels completely alien, wondering how you got there. The real heartbreak, in fact, isn't about losing someone else, it's about losing yourself in the process. The Stoics, known for their wisdom, did not advocate for denial. Instead, they championed radical clarity. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most prominent Stoic philosophers, once said, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change, for it is the truth I seek, not to be right." Imagine if we applied this philosophy to our romantic lives. What if we stopped trying to justify our feelings and simply listened to the truth that our bodies already know? The truth is not hidden in excuses. It's found in stillness, presence, and honesty. And let's be honest here, chances are you knew something was off early on, maybe even during the first few conversations. Perhaps it was a strange comment, a weird feeling, or a flicker of doubt that you brushed aside because the attraction was too strong, or because you didn't want to start over, or because being alone seemed scarier than being with someone who only half committed. But here's what Stoicism reminds us: clarity comes the moment you stop lying to yourself. Let's stop deceiving ourselves. Let's stop telling ourselves that time will change them, that love will fix everything, that if we just wait a little longer, everything will fall into place. This lie is costing you precious time, peace, and parts of your soul. And let's not confuse intuition with fear. Fear is often accompanied by panic, overthinking, and a sense of chaos. True intuition is a clear, calm feeling that guides us toward what's best for us. Intuition is a unique experience, one that is calm and quiet, patiently waiting for you to acknowledge it. Imagine a soft, steady voice that's always there, waiting for you to say, "I understand." When you finally do, it's like a veil is lifted. Healing begins. You stop just surviving and start living again. I understand that this is a challenging process. Acknowledging your inner voice means letting go of the fantasy, the version of someone you wish they were. However, the longer you hold onto this illusion, the longer you postpone becoming the best version of yourself. Don't silence your inner voice just to keep someone who can't truly hear you. Today, make a choice. Choose honesty. Choose clarity. Trust that you already know what's right. Join me in this affirmation: I trust my inner voice. Share it in the comments below. By listening to that voice, you don't just let go of the wrong person. You return home to the right version of yourself. Remember, this journey is about rediscovering who you truly are. If you've ever disregarded your gut feeling and later found yourself wishing you hadn't, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you're ready to embrace your intuition without second-guessing it, make sure to subscribe. Stick around, because next, we're diving into the topic of what it truly means when someone chooses not to communicate, and how silence can reveal deeper truths about love. Let's reiterate this before we proceed. I have faith in my inner voice, as it is more than just a faint suggestion. It embodies wisdom. Now, let's discuss a crucial point. When someone avoids communication, they are not just being quiet, they are evading. You cannot forge a future with someone who flees at the first sign of a serious conversation. Take a moment to reflect on that, my friends. While silence may seem serene at first glance, in a relationship where your thoughts and feelings go unheard, it is not tranquility, it is suppression. This form of emotional neglect can lead to the most gradual and painful heartbreak of all. It's not the loud arguments or the heated disputes that hurt the most, but rather the void where meaningful dialogue should exist. Consider the moments of avoidance, the casual shrugs, or the abrupt changes in topic. Think about how it feels when you attempt to discuss something significant, only to have the other person act as if it doesn't even matter. Genuine relationships are not solely founded on love, they are built on honesty. And honesty requires open communication. The Stoics refer to this as logos, which encompasses reason, dialogue, and the clear expression of thoughts through words. Without this essential element, there can be no growth, trust, or understanding. Instead, you have two individuals coexisting in the same space, pretending that everything is all right, while the emotional barriers slowly deteriorate from within. To illustrate this concept, let's use a metaphor. Imagine this. When you build a relationship without communication, it's like constructing a house on shifting sands. The exterior may look impressive, with walls that rise high and a roof that shines, but the foundation is weak. The lights may flicker on, and for a brief moment, everything seems perfect. However, the first challenge, the first disagreement, or the first real issue will inevitably arise, causing the walls to crack and the structure to buckle. This is the reality of relationships that lack honest conversation. You can try to mask the cracks with laughter, dates, and social media posts, but without genuine communication, the relationship is merely a fragile illusion waiting to collapse. It's easy to make excuses for the lack of communication, attributing it to someone's inability to express themselves or past traumas. While it's true that we all carry emotional scars and have complex pasts, growth and progress don't come from avoiding difficult conversations. Instead, they come from being willing to confront discomfort and say, "This is hard for me, but I'm trying." If someone is unwilling to engage in open and honest communication, what are you really building? Avoidance is not a personality trait, but rather a recipe for disaster in relationships. Choosing to remain superficial when a relationship calls for deeper connection is a deliberate decision. The peril of partnering with someone who evades meaningful dialogue is that you gradually become more silent yourself. You cease raising important matters. You stop articulating your requirements. You begin treading carefully because you've grown weary of their vacant expression, emotional withdrawal, or their tendency to transform your legitimate concerns into perceived attacks. Before you realize it, you're diminishing, fading, and vanishing within your own partnership. Remember, genuine communication extends beyond mere conversation. It encompasses allowing yourself to be vulnerable. It means expressing uncomfortable truths. It involves revealing your authentic thoughts, not just the polished highlights of your experience. When your partner refuses to meet you in this vulnerable space, when they shield themselves behind silence, humor, or redirection, they're clearly demonstrating how little emotional responsibility they're prepared to shoulder. And truthfully, it's minimal. Contrary to popular belief, Stoic philosophers weren't emotionally suppressed individuals. They advocated for emotional mastery rather than emotional avoidance. They championed speaking truth instead of repressing it. As Marcus Aurelius wisely penned, "Let no act be done without a purpose, nor otherwise than according to the perfect principles of art. This philosophy applies equally to our interpersonal exchanges. The essence of connection flourishes through meaningful dialogue. When this crucial element is absent, relationships become empty and insubstantial. This is an important truth you need to acknowledge. You are not asking for too much at all. Seeking someone who is willing to engage in conversation, to share their thoughts and feelings, and to meet you halfway is not a sign of neediness. Rather, it is a fundamental aspect of healthy relationships. It is crucial to recognize that being conditioned to believe that remaining silent equates to strength is misleading. Often, silence can simply be a mask for fear. If you have made the effort to reach out, by opening the door to dialogue, softening your approach, and inviting discussion, and yet the other person continues to shut you out repeatedly, it may be time to reconsider your approach. You cannot forge a connection with someone who is unwilling to be vulnerable and seen. Additionally, it is impossible to truly love someone who perceives your emotions as a burden. So, let's affirm this together in the comments. I deserve genuine communication. You deserve it because your voice is important. Your thoughts, needs, and feelings are all valid and worthy of acknowledgement. If you have ever felt overlooked, go ahead and press that like button. If you are ready to stop walking on eggshells around someone else's silence, hit subscribe. Stay tuned, as we will soon delve into an even more profound topic, the distinction between chemistry and connection, and how this misunderstanding can trap individuals in unfulfilling situations. Remember, I deserve real communication because, while silence may seem comforting, it is only the truth that can create lasting bonds. And let's not forget, number 7 on our list is the common mistake of confusing chemistry with true connection. Let's not mistake the brilliance of lightning for the gentle glow of sunrise, my friends. That exhilarating feeling you experience, the fluttering in your stomach, the electric spark, and those late-night messages that quicken your heartbeat, this is chemistry, and it is undeniably real. However, it's important to recognize that this chemistry can be fleeting. The butterflies eventually settle down. If there isn't a deeper connection beneath that initial thrill, what remains is often silence and a person who doesn't truly understand you. Many individuals find themselves in situations that are thrilling yet lack substantial depth. Why does this happen? It's because they confuse intensity with intimacy, lust with love, and a bond formed through shared trauma with a genuine soul connection. By the time they come to this realization, they may have constructed an entire narrative on a spark that was never intended to endure. The Stoics cautioned us against pursuing pleasure without thought. Pleasure should not be the sole indicator of what is good. Rather, it is our character that truly matters. So take a moment to reflect. Does this person bring tranquility into your life, or merely a rush of adrenaline? Do they stimulate your intellect, encourage your personal growth, and align with your purpose, or do they only provoke your emotions? Avoid becoming addicted to the thrill of what could be. The right partner will not only ignite your physical senses, but will also provide stability for your soul. Let's affirm this together in the comments. I desire a genuine connection. If this resonates with you, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and join me, as we will soon tackle the most challenging aspect, the pain of holding on for too long. Number 8 on our list highlights a crucial point. By delaying the inevitable pain, you are only setting yourself up for a more difficult experience later on. Think about it this way. The longer you drag around a dead horse, the more it begins to decay. I understand that this may sound harsh, but the reality can be just as tough, my friends. For some of you, it's not about avoiding heartbreak. Rather, you are merely postponing it. Deep down, you are aware that it's over.